Okay, let's begin rubbing our hands together and just gently rock your feet from side to side, shifting the weight from side to side, getting a sense of your core stability and your balance. Feeling a little heat between the hands, generate some energy and friction between the hands. Good. And maybe even start to feel a little bit of a figure eight in the hips. Let the hands start coming down a little lower and eventually let the arms find their way to the side of the body. And noticing how the arms just flow with the movement of the hips and the shoulders. There's no effort on the part of the arms. Just feeling a little bit of a stirring of the energy down through the legs, through the soles of the feet, into the earth. And see if you can also simultaneously feel an energy spiraling up the legs from the earth, up the body, up the spine, into the shoulders. And spiraling our way into a still point. Good. So we're really just doing some spontaneous movement to settle into a still point where we can begin to focus on our breathing. We'll step our feet together to begin with to find a stance that we can share in common. Step my feet back a little. Good. And from here, we want to have a little bit more stability in our root system. So we'll separate our feet a little wider by externally rotating the hips, turning the toes out. And then lifting onto the pads of the feet, externally rotating the heels, dropping down into the heels. And again, lift the toes and bring the feet parallel. Here we have what's called Wu Chi stance. And as we bend the knees and imagine sitting back a little bit, dropping into the stability of that root system, we feel pretty steady in this position, a little bit more rooted than before. And we'll bring our hands and draw the hands up towards the navel with the palms facing the navel. And we're going to start with a breathing technique called in, out, or shi, hu. Shi, xi, meaning in, and hu, meaning out. So the focus of this breathing is to breathe deep into the lower abdomen with your first inhale. And let your hands raise up. And your second inhale is coming into the chest. And you take an exhale from there and let the hands float back down to earth, and nice and slow. So it's in, and out. Do 4 more just like that. Taking the breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. We're going to repeat that. We're going to add a little bit more energy to it this time and increase the pace. So for those that think they might need it, please have a chair handy in case you get lightheaded, or at any time you can come into a chair for this practice. So the way the shi hu looks with a little bit more energy behind it, where we're bringing more attention to the inhale than the exhale on this. So it's not like a relaxation breath technique where we're trying to relax. In the beginning of our practice, we're trying to build the energy. So in doing so, it's going to look more like more emphasis on the inhale, fast, and double inhale, and then an exhale. Good. Let the breath follow hands in and out. 2 more. Good. And now we'll do something called the gathering breath, where we bring the arms back, palms facing upward as we reach forward. Gather in the good chi, the energy, the prana, direct it towards the body and move it down the spine. That's your exhale. So we inhale to gather, gathering, and exhale to pack. So as we pack the chi in the body, we want to feel a little lifting of the perineum so that the energy as we bring it into the body isn't spilling out the bottom of the pelvic bowl, but it's being contained and held and actually accumulating in this yin space of the body, something that we will use for our practice. Let the hands come a little higher up towards the face. We can imagine letting anything that's on the mind that's not supporting our practice be cleared and brought down and grounded. We can deal with it later if it's necessary. If it's not, it'll just be composted and alchemized into fertilization for new, more fertile seeds. So we're letting go of the old, the stagnant, and gathering the new, the fresh, the alive, the inspired. And we'll do that a couple more times, smoothing out the movements, smoothing out the breath. So just like there isn't a starting and stopping point with the movement, there's no starting and stopping point with the breath. It's a continuous flow. Even at the top of the inhale and the beginning of the exhale, it's seamless. Now let the hands come up all the way over the head, behind the head, and then let's extend the arms out and down. And let's draw that energy up the front of the spine and down. Continue that same breathing pattern, only this time bring your attention to the center of the spine, circulating energy up and down the spine between the lower and the middle dantian. And again, keeping attention on the perineum, holding the capacity in that pelvic bowl to retain the energy. Good. And anything that's of excess or stagnant or waste material just spills off and returns to the earth. Anything essential, supportive, vital remains held in that pelvic bowl. Good. Breathing, an essential part of our practice. Now bring the hands up. We're coordinating our breath as we inhale with the movement of the hands up, and the breath coming out as we move the hands down the back, tracing the back of the legs, gathering and tracing up the front. Inhaling up. Notice as we slow down the movements, we're slowing down the breath. And as we slow down the breath, coordinating with the movements, we start to bring the brain into a more relaxed frequency or brainwave activity that supports the frequency of the body. The frequency of our brain, our mind, our thinking is a different frequency capacity than the denseness of the body. They're in two different dimensions, but they're the same organism. And so we want to blend them and find that balance and that bridge, if you will, where the maximum amount of communication between mind and body can be established. And we have to bring the brain wave down to an alpha frequency to accommodate that. Now bring the arms around in front and create a ball of energy in front of the heart. We're going to stand here for a moment and just hold that. Good. Imagine you're gathering a big ball of energy in front of the chest and the heart and the lungs. And that ball of energy is alive, teeming with life. You can even imagine it like a brilliant sun. Your elbows are relaxed, your shoulders are relaxed. Now you're going to imagine breathing in from that ball of energy and taking in the healing benefits of that and letting that breath that you take in from that generous ball of energy that you're holding, activate that internal medicine, bringing those internal capacities of healing and rejuvenation online for our practice. Good. Sink into those legs. Good. These standing postures start to build energy in the legs. We're going to build the energy in the legs, and then we're going to be warming up those legs. Now slide the hands together, one palm on top of the other, it doesn't matter which one. Now you're going to press the back hand of the hand closest to your chest and heart to the palm of the hand on top, and then simultaneously press the palm of the hand into the back of that other hand and feel a tension in the arms. Good. Now move those hands towards the heart and imagine the same thing, that there's a energy penetrating out from the heart towards the hands, and you're pushing towards that energy, and that energy is pushing towards the hands. And then turn the palms and press down. And again, imagine as you push down, there's an equal force pushing up, an equal energetic force pushing up into the hands. Good, and then release the arms. Extend the arms out. Bend the elbows, and then we'll push. Feeling the wrist flex. Good. Now come up out of the legs and release. Roll the arms. Good. Now shift your weight into the leg closest to the chair. Pick up the heel of the opposite leg. Good. And let's pivot on that big toe, opening and closing the quad. We've been talking quite a bit about lymph nodes in our study and also in our practice in general. For moving lymph, we have to move our body and we have to move our breath. Good. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and place the foot to the floor and shift sides. So we're posting weight into this leg so that we can lift the heel of the opposite leg, maintain our core strength for our balance, and then begin feeling that pelvis tilting. Good. And rocking from side to side. And then also the movement of the hip internally and externally rotating. And you want to see like a spiraling energy moving from the earth, up the leg, up the root system, into the hip, generating some heat, some lubricant for the hip. Good. Now reposition back to neutral. And this time we're going to do the same thing, putting the weight into the leg closest to the chair. Pick up the opposite heel, and this time slide that foot back a little bit, and then go ahead and create little circles. Good, as if you're drilling the big toe into the earth. Feeling that little spiral energy moving up the leg. Good, in reverse direction. Feeling the movement in the ankle. Excellent. And then we'll stretch the top of the foot, point the toes back. Good. With a little bend in the standing leg, bend that knee and push into the top of the foot of that back leg. Good. And from there, slide that foot forward and give it a kick. And set the weight down, and we'll do the other side. Starting by posting the weight in this leg, picking up the heel, slide that foot back, and just gently create a little stir. Reverse direction. Feel the ankle rolling through the knee and the hip. Great. Point the toes back. Good. If it's comfortable, come onto the top of the foot for a stretch. And if you want a little more, sink into that standing leg. Feeling a stretch not only down the top of the foot, but the front of the ankle. And then keep your balance as you draw the leg forward and give it a kick. And release. Back to positioning the weight from one side to the other. Wonderful. Hands onto the hips now. Adding some movements in the hips. Good. Let your feet come the distance apart that works for you to feel stable. Moving through these hip circles. You want to feel the pelvis rocking on the head of the femur, rocking forward to the side, rocking back. Good. Pause. Reverse direction. Great. A couple more times in this direction. Feeling the movements everywhere that you're allowing yourself to feel, not just in the hips, but all corners of movement being touched here can be felt. Now come back to the center. Pause at the center, drop the arms, shake out the arms. Now here in what's called the qua, we have some interesting points that we want to touch. And we're going to do something called elephant swings its tail, or excuse me, its trunk, probably its tail too. We'll draw the arms off to the side as we sink our weight to the opposite leg. Now we've done this before, so we'll continue that familiar aspect, and then we're going to add another piece that stimulates the lymph fluid in the groin. Good. So it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Now here we go. As we exhale, we're going to bring the hands down and let them land with a tap. Now the tap can be with the palms open and the heels of the hands, tapping at the groin, right, in the crease, or it can be with a soft fist, whatever feels more comfortable and appropriate for you. Good. So we're going to do the other side. And as we come to the center, we let the hands land. And there's a little bit of a thrusting forward with the pelvis. So it's inhale, exhale. Good. Now we can add, we've added the movement, we've added the breath. Now we can add a sound. So it can be a sigh. One more on each side. Good. Now pull the hands up and around the top of the hip, down and over to the kidneys, down the back of the legs, tracing the back of the legs. Gather energy, pull up the inside of the legs. Good. Pausing at the groin, take the knife edge of the hand and we'll give it a scrub. Good. And then tapping. Keep tapping up the hip, up the side, and we'll come across the chest and tap. Good. Open the palms and brush down the arms. Good. Roll the shoulders back and we'll proceed to warm up the upper body. So you can start to feel some energy of aliveness in that pelvic region. If we stop for a moment and close our eyes and take all of our attention there, just notice what you notice. Notice the legs, the feet, the pelvic bowl, the knees, anything below the horizon. And just give yourself time to give attention to what's been addressed and see what the feedback from the body is. Good. Now we'll bring the hands, palms up, elbows back, rotate through the wrists, elbows, shoulders, bring the arms forward. And with the hand closest to the chair, place it on top and then bring the hands towards the heart. Take the thumb of that top hand, push it into the palm of that hand centered, and then press out, stretch the top of the wrist. Good. Pull the elbow back and now pushing the palm into the opposite hand, the fingers pointing down. You're going to take the fingers of the opposite hand, pull back on those fingers and stretch the underside of the wrist. Good, let's do that again. Elbow back. This time turn the fingers pointing upward and do the same thing. And then cross the wrists. Bring the backs of the hands together. Down, up, unfold, and let the hands come over to the shoulders and slide down and reach out. Bend the elbows, push out through the hands. Good. Draw the arms forward. Good. And now the hand closest to the flower arrangement is on top. We pull the hands towards the heart. Take the thumb of that top hand, push it into the palm of the underside hand. Stretch the top of the wrist. Pull back. Scrub the ribs with the elbow. Fingers down, push forward, stretch the fingers, stretch the wrists. Again, scoop back. This time push forward, fingers up. Good. Crossing the wrists, interlacing the fingers. Draw the arms down, draw the arms up, and fold through, uncross, and brush down. Take a breath, inhale. And as you exhale, let the hands land on those lung points. Good, just below the collarbone. And we'll do a little massage here. Good. And we're going to go ahead and do some tapping here with some breathing. So it's an inhale and an exhale. 3 more. Let the arms come down, and then we'll begin to swing the arms as we rotate the spine. And as the hand wraps around the back, tapping the kidney, and we're eventually going to bring that opposite arm forward to back to that lung point with a tap, and again, a sigh or a ha, or whatever feels appropriate for you that helps you have the image and the awareness that you're letting go of something. Start bringing the arms up a little higher around the waist, a little higher yet. Let your gaze come all the way across the shoulder, and then take. So what I like to do is take the heel of the hand and push right into the front of the shoulder. And that way the bottom of the heel of my hand is getting into the lung point. You could also do it with a soft fist. Let the back hand continue to tap on the kidney. Good, 2 and 1 hold. Tap here, tap, keep going. Extend the arm. Good, tap down the inside of the arm. Up the top side of the arm, underneath the armpit, around the breast tissue, down the side body, across the chi belt, and to the kidneys with both hands. Down the back of the legs. Good, up the front of the legs. Stimulating chi, bringing it to the surface so we have something to work with. Down the back, outside of the legs, up the inside of the legs. Good, up the side of the torso, ribs, across. Good, and brush down. Good, let the arms come to the side. Give yourself a shake, spontaneous movement. Shake anything out that needs shaking and continue right into your spinal twist. Remember to pivot on that big toe so that you get a feeling of bringing heat to the feet. Let that spiral movement come all the way up the spine, looking over the shoulder, wrapping the arms around the waist, tapping that opposite kidney, and bringing those arms up a little higher as we go, all the way up around the breast, and to the lung point. 3, 2, and 1. Stopping on the other side. Extend the arm, go down the inside of the arm, bringing chi to the surface, calling it out of the body and into the field. So we have something to work with our hands. Go around the breast tissue. Good. Up over the top of the shoulder, back down the side, cross. Both hands to the kidneys. And one more time, travel down the back of the legs, up the front of the legs, spending a good amount of time on our warm-up. Go over the hips, down the outside of the legs, up the inside of the legs, stopping at the quad, around the hips, up the ribs, around the chest, and gently brush down the arms. Shake out the hands. Good. And we'll do a little bit of a release for the feet here as we shift our weight in one leg, kick the other. So anything that's accumulated in the legs from our upper body warm up, we can release. And again, spontaneous movement, shake anything out that needs shaking. Good. And let's go into a basic move called flowing. So as we sit in our Wu Chi stance, remember how to get there. Primary stance, right? Externally rotate, and line up those feet parallel, sink into the knees. Good. You want that pelvis so it's not tilting forward and not tilting back, but nice and neutral. Roll the shoulders back. Good. Imagine your hands are on the heads of 2 lions next to you, or you can use whatever imagination you'd like to use. Good. And let the hands float down back towards the groin area. And then as the hands float up, sink a little bit into the heels. And as the hands sink down, you're going to rise up into the legs. Let the arms come a little bit behind the hips. Inhale. And exhale, coordinating our movement and our breath in a seamless integration where there's no stopping and no starting, but it feels like a flow. Like you're riding a wave. You're riding a wave, being lifted and lowered gently with the movement of the water. No effort. You're floating in the effort of the combination of your breathing and your movement, and becomes this experience of effortless power where you get to be in the experience and witness the movement happening through the body without actually having to effort. Good. We're going to add some new arm movements here. As the hands come up, gather a breath and bring it down. Do a couple gathering breaths to integrate that. As you gather energy in, feel it circulating through the body. Good. Combining our gathering breath with our flowing movement. Integrating multiple levels here. Good. And as we reach up, gather, take the hand closest to the flower arrangement on top. Great fists. And then shifting our weight into the leg closest to the flower arrangement. And then drop the bottom arm down and the top arm up. And we're going to turn and look in the direction of the bottom hand. And then release the arms back to the sides, switching the arms. Hand closest to the chair on top, sink into the leg closest to the chair. Drop the bottom hand, lift the top hand, look in the direction of the bottom hand. Good. Shift the weight back to the center, bring the arms parallel. Shifting. Stacking of the hands, shifting the weight. Draw the arms apart. Looking down. Good. So we're stretching the energy across to the sides of the body. Good, coming forward with that energy, stretching it diagonally. Good. So you're both pulling energy up to the top hand and pushing energy down with the bottom hand, simultaneously bringing energy up the legs. So it's interesting that as we bend the knee and we sink into the side, we actually want to see energy rising up the leg. So it's rising up that same leg as the arm lifts, rising, sinking down. So we're moving energy simultaneously in both directions between heaven and earth. Now, if you want a little more, you can sink as you bring the wrist across, and that way, then you just straighten the one leg and press and look down. Good. Come back to center. Sink the legs across the arms, and then straighten the one leg back to the center. Let's do that a couple more times on each side on your own without direction. Let the breathing just find its way into the movement. You don't want to compromise the form for the breath. Just breathing will find its way. Try to match the rhythm of the breath with the movement so that the pace matches the flow. Now bring the hands together. Good. Backs of the hands together to the heart, and we'll let the hands flow up the heart and down. Good. As you let the hands come towards the earth, you're going to reach down. Imagine gathering from the mud of the earth. We're going to lift up that lotus energy. Reach the arms around, backs of the hands come together, pulling that lotus energy up from the roots, nice and slow. Now, once you get up to the heart, it becomes lighter, less dense, and we bring it up and around and see the lotus blossoming up in that Shen energy, that spiritual energy at the upper dantian. Good. Bring the hands forward, backs of the hands together to the heart. Good. Spilling back down towards the earth like a snake shedding its skin. Imagine letting go of anything that's not allowing that lotus flower in the third eye to blossom. Reach around, gather, and feel as you pull up the density of earth pulling you back towards itself. So this movement from the lower body up to the lower dantian is heavy and dense, and as we come above the horizon, you start to feel a lightness and a spring in the arms, like wings as they open up, gather, and receive the light of the sun. We're wrapping it around the heart and bring the backs of the hands together. Good. And continue. Same pattern. Let the breath find its rhythm for your sequence. The slower that we can move through this and slow down the breath, the more we're going to have those beneficial neurochemicals in the brain come online and reflect the calm, reflective aspects of our mind versus the chaotic, frenetic, busy, survival-based reptilian brain, if you will. Good. That primal instinct to look for the threat. It's an important aspect to have, but if it's always turned on and getting in the way of the more inspiring capacity of the brain, then it feels heavy. Life feels heavy. We're going to start to bring some of that heaviness up from the roots into the light of spirit, perspective, and integrate these dimensions within ourself. We're cultivating. It's like when you have to go in the garden in the spring and till the soil, prepare it for the seeds. You want to be able to see the blueprint in the seeds that you're planting. What is it eventually going to become? And then with that intention, you create the environment. So we're doing that in our practice, creating the environment in the body and the mind for that which we want to cultivate and nourish in our life. Let's do one more, nice and slow. Feel the heaviness. Watch yourself move through these layers. Feel the springiness, like the arms now being lifted up, lightness, lighter and lighter and lighter. Coming back down and gathering energy at that lower dantian, the yin space, holding a ball of energy here. Sink back into the legs. Good. We're going to shift our weight to the leg closest to the flowers again. Good. And then take this arm on the opposite side, bring it around behind. Good. And shifting our weight as we lift the toes, turn, shift the weight, and reach up. Like we're trying to use the hand like a blade to reach up and punch a hole in the sky, opening heaven and coming across. And as this arm drops down, this other arm comes across. Turn and reach up and pull across. Good. Reaching up, opening the veil to heaven and bringing heaven down to earth. Good. Keeping the shoulder at a level that supports your flexibility, your comfort zone. You can be down low, elbows bent, wrist is soft. We come across the Shen point, clearing the mind. Good. Sinking a little and then rising up like we're puncturing the veil and letting the wisdom that's on the other side of the veil shower into our lives and making the unknown knowable, if you will. And you can use any visualization that you'd like. I'm just offering one that was offered to me as I learned this form, but anything that comes to mind can be used here in combination with the movement and the breath that supports your life and what's happening for you. We're going to move this one into more of a kidney water element practice. As we start to enter summer and the fire element, we need the controlling element of fire, which is water, to support us so we don't become overheated. So as we come to this side, we're going to let the hand behind reach behind, and then this hand will come scooping up and over. Good. Now this, as we shift our weight into this leg, let this arm come back. This arm comes across and draws over the heart, right? The heart energy. And then we shift our weight into this leg, closest to the plant, the opposite arm comes back, touches the opposite kidney. Good. And then we come across with the opposite arm in front of the body, scooping over the heart. Good. Legs are balanced. Now we shift the weight into the opposite side as we scoop the opposite arm back. That hand on the bent knee side comes under and across. Good. So as we sink down into the leg and the opposite arm comes back. This arm frees up, comes across. It takes a while to get the form. Once you get it, then you can start adding the breathing and the visual. Imagine, if you will, water reaching down, gathering the water, pulling it across the kidney, up to the heart, cooling the heart, spinning the water wheel. One more on each side. Bringing the hands both behind the back. Good. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Roll the shoulders back. Open the chest. Take breath in. If it's safe for you, come up onto your toes. Good. And then exhale. Land in your heels and let your arms float forward and down. Let's go back to that basic flowing motion. Inhale and exhale. Good. Using these flowing motions between postures, between sequences and forms to reconnect to that reserve of energy in the lower dantian. Continue to acknowledge it, to build it, to energize it. Good. Backs of the hands together now. Pull to the heart. And then spin the hands so that the palms come together, and we'll do a side bend towards the flower arrangement. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and do swimming dragon, shifting the weight. Looking over to the extended leg, lift the arms so the elbow's up, and it creates a nice line from this elbow down to that heel. And scoop under, up. Good. Moving through the spinal flexibility, and the side-to-side movement helps also propel the lymph fluid. Good. Keep pressure on the hands, pushing each hand into one another. Scooping down like you're in half a barrel. Good. Two more. Shifting the gaze to get the movement all the way up the spine. Feeling the heat. I am feeling that energy rise up. One more time down and up. Good. Now weight in this leg. We're going to push off this leg, shifting feet together. Come to the center. Keep the hands the center. We're going to move this into snake. So it's similar to dragon. The hips go one direction, the arms in the other now. And then come across. This requires a little bit more balance, as you can tell, a little bit more stability. Engage that core. If you need to shift the feet a little wider apart, you can do so. Of course, you can still do this even in a chair, just doing the upper body part. Notice how the hands are climbing up, rising up like the Kundalini energy of snake, rising, energy rising up the spine. Good. coming all the way up to the top. Now watch the wrists get a little bit more crazy here with the bending. And then pull the hands down. Let the wrists move. Good. Now turning one hand down, one hand up. Push down with the bottom hand. Doesn't matter which hand. Top hand up. Pressing. And we'll do a side bend here. Bottom hand slides over to the opposite hip. Top hand slides to the opposite shoulder. Good. And come back to the center. Going to slice down the center. Fingers of the top hand point up. Fingers of the bottom hand top point down. We come. Turning and switching. Back down, slicing down the center. Keep the knees together, bending. The knees sinking a little. Turning the hands. Good. Now pushing down. Separate the arms out to the side, rising up. Inhale. Interlace the fingers, bring the hands down. Try to keep the feet together for this. If you need to, you can separate them a little. Bend the knees, push out through the heels of the hands. Now, if you can, rise up onto the toes. Bend at the elbows and let the hands come on top of the head. Pushing out with the arms. Dropping the arms down to the side. Now landing into the heels and let the body shake. Shake everything out. Good, and we'll do the same thing. Placing our foot, weight in one leg. Go ahead and roll through the opposite ankle. Other side. Good. Now placing the weight in one leg, kick the opposite heel to the opposite glute. Releasing and keeping the energy flowing in the legs as we begin our cool down here. We're going to add some self-massage to this. Good. Roll the shoulders back. Good. And taking the hand closest to the flowers, bring the arm across the chest. Let that hand land right on top of the shoulder. Take the opposite hand, support that elbow, and give yourself a nice massage on top of the trapezius muscle. Massaging can be kneading, squeezing, tapping, rubbing. Good. Let the hand move up into the side of the neck. Rub the side of the neck. Good. And then brush down the arms, shake it out. Other side, bring it around. With the support, get in there, reach back as far as you can. Give it a squeeze and pull. Squeeze and then pull that tissue forward. Good. Take it into the side of the neck. Squeeze, pull. Good. And then brush down the arm. Hands together, shake. Roll the shoulders back. Good. I'm going to come a little closer. We're going to do some tapping on the face. So with your palms, take a look at them. They should be a little pinker than usual. Your fingers are probably nice and pink. Good. Let's go ahead and interlace the fingers and roll through the wrists. Reverse direction. Stretch those fingers out for me right there. Good. And then shake. Take the fingers now and tap at the center of the forehead and tap outward towards the temples. Onto the temples. Now underneath the eyes and on top of the cheekbones. Good. And with one hand, tap the top of the lip. And with the other hand, the bottom. Good. Now with both hands, tap on the collarbone, the kidney points. Move out towards the lung points. Move back in and down to the thymus. Go down the center between the breasts. Follow along diaphragm to the outside, to the ribs. Tap up and down. Good. Go down and back to the kidneys. Tap. Good, and push into the kidneys with the backs of the hands, and then lean into those kidneys, really open the front body. Now with the neck, you can support the weight of your head by keeping your chin tucked to your chest for this, or let your head lean back a little if that's safe for you. And then bend the knees, let your hands slide down and off of the legs and up in front. Good, we're gonna do some work for the ears. Notice when you bend your elbows, your hands are right by the ears. Ears are one of the reflexology systems in the body. So we have the hands, the feet, and the ears. So for the ears here, we're gonna make a little adjustment here on this microphone so I can get to my ears. Come a little closer, so maybe I won't need it. So if you look at the ear, you can see the ear looks like an upside down fetus. And so the microsystem of reflexology on the ear works with the assumption that the earlobe is the head, and then the top of the ear is actually the bottom of the spine. Well, the way that we're going to work with our ears is to rub our hands together. If you have earrings on, you might want to take them off for this. And then take with the fingers cupped behind the ears, take the heels of the hands. It might be hard to hear me while you do this, so be mindful. You might want to turn your volume up. And as the hands are cupping the ears, you're going to create like a suction and just push in and out till you hear like a little bit of a pumping sound. And then push firmly on the ears and pull the heels of the hands back over the ears. We'll do that 3 times. Bring the heels of the hands to the front of the ears, push firmly and draw back and over the ears. Good. Hitting every major point of the ear. We'll do that one more time. Push firmly in and draw back, massaging the ear. Good. You might already start to feel some heat in the ears. That's good. We'll do the opposite now. Same thing with the heel of the hand behind the ears. Watch the flaps of the ears come forward towards me. You're going to fold those over and forward as you bring the hands forward towards the face. 2 more times. Catch the back of the ears, fold the earlobes. In and over. This might feel strange. Probably feel heat. If it's tender, be gentle. Good. Shake out the hands and just close your eyes and notice your ears for a moment. Probably a little bit more tension there and sensation. They're very sensitive. They're probably really red. My ears are probably really red. We're going to do the same thing up and down. So with the fingers pointing up, go up and pull the earlobe up and trace and put pressure on the ear as you come up. 2, one more time, and 3. Now with the heels of the hands resting above the ears, pull down on top of the ears. That's a little bit more tender for me. You're going to pull down on top. One more time. Good. And then do whatever feels good. Rub those ears. We're going to take and pinch on the earlobes. Pinch, squeeze, massage, and go all the way up the outside of the ear, all the way in the top, around, and to the inside with the index finger. Follow the curves, go in and around until you get your fingers, if this feels safe for you, inside just to the opening of the ear canal. So as we age, our ear canal starts to shrink, the opening to our ear canal. And we want to maintain our hearing through life. So one of the techniques is to just take the finger tips of the index finger to the inside, push forward, and then jostle those fingers, imagining creating more space and opening into the ear canal. Push in there to the point that feels comfortable for you. Jostle. And then pull out, and should hear a thing like a little popping, and shake your hands. Good, and just notice how your ears feel. So just like the hands in reflexology, the ears have every single point of the body on them, so do the hands and feet. So now that our ears are on fire, literally mine are warm, we're going to take it to the hands. So with the opposite hand, take and massage the heel of the hand. And then we'll start to go up the outside into the finger and pull off the pinky finger. Go up to the ring finger, pull off. Do that for each finger. Create some energy in the hands so that everything that we've circulated through the body through our practice doesn't get stuck in the hands, but can flow right out and into our lives. Shake. Good. And we'll do the other hand. Start by massaging the heel of the hand with the thumb, and then come off the knife edge in the hand to the pinky. Opposite hand, same idea. Go the ring finger, middle finger, index, thumb. Give it a good squeeze and shake. Good. Now we'll go to the wrist. So taking the index finger and thumb and going around the wrist. Let me see what we're doing on time here. Up to the elbow. We're going to wrap around the elbow and tap. And then brush. Other side. Here we are at the end. Wrap up, up, up to the elbow. Give it a tap all the way around that joint. Push down the arm. That's the way. Bring the arms together. Big breath in. Good. And then roll the wrist down the center. Roll, roll, roll. Bring the hands back and around. Good. Create a fist with the right hand. Cover with the left. Step the feet together. Bow. And thank you so much. It was really awesome. I feel great. I hope you do too. Let's check in and see.